watching West Hartford Community Television.
You're watching West Hartford Community Television.
You're watching West Hartford Community Television. Yay!
For the community, by the community.
Welcome back and good evening to Home Chat, your local real estate show about home, house, and garden. My name is Katja Dunn, working for William Revis Real Estate. I'm your host tonight. Tonight we are going to talk about the current real estate market and a quick forecast for 2010, 2011. We invited PJ Lewis, the manager of William Revis, and Brian Caskill, our mortgage broker. Welcome tonight, and thank you so much for coming. How about, would you like to introduce yourself quickly, Brian, and then PJ?
Sure. My name is Brian Caskill. I'm an executive mortgage banker with William Revis Mortgage. Basically here to help anyone interested in buying a home find out more about financing.
Right, thank you.
And I'm PJ Lewis. I'm the sales manager for William Revis. I've been in real estate for about a decade now, and I live in West Hartford and work throughout West Hartford and Farmington Valley. Thank
you so much. Well, Brian, there is still a lot of confusion out there in regards to the homebuyer tax credit. For some reason, would you mind just to explain to us what are the regulations again? Just repeat what we hear over and over on the television. And also, if you could maybe point out the deadlines, because I think we are very close to April and to the deadlines coming up.
Okay. Well, you're right, exactly. The most important thing to understand now are the deadlines. Both the first-time homebuyer credit as well as the non-first-time homebuyer credit, let's just call it, you need to be under a bona fide contract, a real estate contract, purchase and sales contract by the 30th of April. However, you do get some time after that till June 30th to actually close on the transaction. So again, the time is in a rush, right. But the credits are still out there. And again, the first-time homebuyer credit is $8,000. Okay. The long-time homebuyer credit is $6,500.
$6,500.
Correct, yeah.
If, for example, let's say I'm going under contract by whatever April 15th, I set my closing date to June 30th because I would like to move in July 1st. Sure. The bank gives me some trouble and they don't let me close on June 30th. Will that affect the tax credit if I have to close on July 1st?
That is an excellent question. And then I do believe that the date is a hard and fast date. What we're recommending to people, especially now, places like William Revis Mortgage, we can turn mortgages around in less than 30 days. Okay. So don't wait till the last minute. If it's at all possible, if you know you're going under contract April 15th and you have some flexibility as to what your closing date is, I would try to cushion it and pad it a little bit.
So you need to be very careful who you pick.
Yes.
With mortgage broker you pick. A first-time buyer, how do you constitute a first-time buyer? What is a true first-time buyer?
By the definition, a first-time home buyer is somebody who has not owned a home in the last 3 years. Doesn't mean that you can't have owned a home sometime in your past, but if you just cannot have owned a home in the last 3 years.
If I have been working, Ina and I have been working with seniors for quite a few years, and we have been helping people to downsize, and we usually help them also to find a new home. Often it's their final home. Often it's the home before they move up to Florida, move down to Florida actually. Seniors have been asking me too, do they qualify also? Are they eligible to receive the tax credit?
In most cases, yes. Basically, the rule defined as a long-time homeowner is you need to have owned a home for 5 consecutive years, anytime in the last 8 years. Okay, so you can, as long as you've lived in a home as your primary residence,
Right.
for 5 straight years, you are eligible for the $6,500.
So it's a fantastic time, really, to list your home now, especially for seniors. And I'm sure there are a lot of seniors out there who are not really aware that they actually would fall under this category as well to receive the tax credit. Great, good news. PJ, I have been very busy, like many of us realtors, in this buyer's market, and it is a true buyer's market. But for some reason, it feels like in some areas, I feel like I'm in a seller's market. There are a lot of multiple offer situations. So would you mind to explain to us a little bit, how is the current market, and why do you feel some areas different than other areas, like with multiple offer situations, and what's the forecast?
Well, you're right, Katya. The market has really had a very busy winter than normal. We've seen over the past 6 months to a year is almost like the perfect storm. Housing has never been more affordable for Americans in a long, long time, where you had interest rates drop by almost a point over the last year, you had home prices still coming down, and you had a pent-up amount of inventory on the market, and there was this demand there. So as these buyers started coming off, then with the first-time home tax credit that came out at the end of last year, it was a great incentive for people to come out and buy. So all of a sudden, the real estate market did start picking up. And that is kind of throughout not only Hartford County, West Hartford and the area, but also the country. Then, as this winter came along, they extended the tax credit. So there was a lot of people saying, okay, I'll still go out and interest rates still remain low. So people are saying it's still a great time to buy. But real estate's local. 90% of people actually only move within 10 miles of their current residence. So real estate is very local. So when all of a sudden you have somebody maybe in West Hartford who still wants to move in West Hartford, even though it might be a buyer's market, there are pockets within West Hartford that may not be. To give you an example, a high-end market is anything usually at least double than your average sale price. So in West Hartford, that would constitute, say, around $700,000 and up. Well, a $700,000 house in West Hartford could take upwards of a year to sell. But if you were under $350,000 in West Hartford, it could be under 4 months to sell. So all of a sudden, just in that price range, and then if you break that down even less, where homes from, say, under $250,000, they're selling in 90 days or less, and you're starting to see multiple offers because there's a lot of value out there. There's a tax incentive. So all of a sudden, depending on those pockets are. I've even looked in West Hartford, we're over $1 million. There's about 8 homes on the market right now in West Hartford, and last year, 5 sold. So you actually are looking at, if nothing else comes on the market, it could take 19, 20 months just for these next 8 to sell. So you're seeing like where that might be a buyer's market in a higher end, but then the lower end is really, it depends. So it really depends on where your price point is, what town you're in, where you could have a $750,000 house that could take a year to sell, but you could have a $240,000 house and have multiple offers on it. So it really is a kind of an interesting market. It's a lot busier than normal, especially this time of the year. But inventory is coming down now, so you're starting to see some of these great deals go away, but due to low interest rates, a tax incentive, and still some homes out there, it's a great time to buy.
Oh, I completely agree. It's a great time. So what would you recommend? I think it's a perfect time to list too, wouldn't you think? I mean, especially with the tax credit, people are active. There are a lot of people who actually have money, who are able to afford mortgages, people who are able to pay cash. I mean, I have plenty of cash offers on the table, but which is very surprising too in our economy. What would you recommend people who are kind of hesitating to list? They would like to move, but they are afraid of selling. What would you tell them?
I think obviously, right now, because of this tax incentive that's still here for a couple more months, it is a great time to put your home on the market. Because you're going to have people who are right now looking to take advantage of that, are nervous about interest rates coming up. You're seeing consumer confidence come back up. So it's a wonderful time to come out, especially right now. Spring market is here. So it's a great time to put your house in the market. But one caveat, make sure your home is ready to go on the market. If you're working with a realtor, make sure you're talking to your realtor, getting that house ready, because once you put it on, you're still seeing anywhere from 8 to 12 people sometimes coming through on an open house on a Sunday. If they get turned off a little bit because, we're going to paint this room next week, you get everything ready for your house, put it on the market. It's never been a better time. Don't wait until the snow melts, because we're seeing a lot of activity right now. We had an average of 6 people at an open house this past Sunday. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there. It's a great time to put your house in the market and try to tap into some of these great economic stimulus packages going on for people because they're out there looking and they're
So
serious.
Don't be afraid.
No,
Just
don't wait.
start and keep going. How is West Hartford compared to Farmington Valley? How would you compare both markets at the time?
They're both very strong. And when you compare Farmington Valley, I was about to say value, there is still a lot of value throughout all the towns of Farmington Valley and West Hartford. To give you an idea, last year, your average price per square foot, what a home sold for, was about $167 a square foot in West Hartford. In Avon, it was $169. Farmington was $168. So you're seeing that in Canton, it was about $162. So throughout Farmington Valley, you're seeing very similar price per square foot and value to homes as West Hartford. You then have to look at any individual towns. A town like West Hartford has, they'll have over 600 transactions in a year where an Avon might have 350. Your average sale price in Avon is $530,000 compared to West Hartford, which is $330. So it depends again what town you're in, but they are very similar towns. Some will just have a little bit more of a high end and a little bit more of a first time home buyer area or condos and stuff like that you get into. But they're still very, very strong markets and things are moving quite quickly.
Moving quite quickly. Let's see if you have a question for Brian. Brian,